Morning, smashed shop windows and burnt-out cars bore witness to the malaise that is gripping Germany. Not racially motivated this time, but evidence nevertheless of the underlying tension in the country. Demonstrators in several German cities have been protesting against the attacks on foreigners. In Meln, the town near Hamburg, where last Monday 3 Turks were killed in the worst attack so far, they carried mock coffins mourning the victims. That attack prompted a government crackdown on far-right groups. The Nationalistic Front has been outlawed, and in overnight raids on the homes of neo-Nazis throughout the country, police found explosives, weapons and a hit list of police officers.
In Bosnia, a United Nations aid convoy has broken through a Serb blockade to reach the remote Muslim town of Srebrenica. It's the town's first fresh supplies for 8 months. The convoy set off from Sarajevo, but then was halted at Bajina Basta for several days before setting off on the last leg to Srebrenica.
For 2 days this week, the attempt to get relief supplies to the Muslim town of Srebrenica had been blocked by Serbian women. They were bitter, they said, because the UN was helping people whom they accused of killing their relatives. Finally, though, the Serbs gave in and let the 22 trucks carrying food, medicines and blankets into the town. Srebrenica has been under siege from Serbian guns since April this year. People clapped and cheered as the aid arrived, the first to get through here since the fighting in Bosnia began 7 months ago. It was the UN's third attempt to bring help. Officials said many inhabitants were close to starvation. Hospitals are reported to be without medicines and with no anesthetics. The convoy brought just 40 tons of supplies, including flour for the 70,000 inhabitants. It may not go far, but the people of Srebrenica hope this convoy won't be the last. Tonight, at the headquarters of the UN Protection Force in Bosnia, the success of the Srebrenica convoy is seen as a significant breakthrough. They hope that it'll lead to humanitarian aid getting through to other desperate areas where relief has been blocked by Serbian action. Jeffrey Archer, ITN, in Bosnia.
A man rushed to the scene of a crash on a level crossing near his Berkshire home and found his daughter crushed to death in the wreckage. The car she was driving had smashed into an express train. She'd passed her driving test only a week ago.
17-year-old Elizabeth Arnold was on her way to a sports club near her home in her mother's metro. When she failed to arrive, worried staff alerted her father. He was out looking for her when he heard about the accident and realised his daughter was the victim. It's thought she may have been blinded by the early morning sun as she approached the unmanned crossing outside Wokingham. It seems she drove straight through the half barrier police think had been lowered for the train's approach. There was little left of the car. It had crashed straight into the centre of the train, which was travelling at around 60 miles an hour. Elizabeth passed her driving test just a week ago and was due to begin a university course next year. The train, the Waterloo to Reading Express, was derailed by the force of the impact. Its 50 passengers were unhurt. The track was slightly damaged and the line closed. An investigation has begun.
5 people have been killed tonight in a multiple car crash in Cambridgeshire. One of them is thought to be a baby. The accident happened at a junction on the A604 near Huntingdon. Firemen spent more than 2 hours trying to cut people out of the 3 cars involved. The Irish Prime Minister Albert Reynolds has conceded it's up to his political rivals to form the next government. It means the so-called Rainbow Coalition could take power. After the Labour Party's general election success, their leader Dick Spring has demanded he heads such a government. This was the position of the parties before the election. The projected outcome after tonight's recounts shows both main parties losing votes, with Labour gaining a crucial 17 seats.
The Irish Prime Minister arrived to meet a demoralised cabinet and tried to put on a brave face.
It wouldn't be a routine cabinet meeting that we didn't have last Tuesday.
But there was nothing routine in what they had to discuss. Opposition parties are set to start negotiating a so-called Rainbow Coalition. One minister conceded his Fianna Fáil party would lose power.
The odds are against it now, and it looks like the Rainbow Coalition.
It is deemed unlikely that Fianna Fáil ministers could go into coalition with Labour, whose leader Dick Spring cruised past their cabinet meeting today after a night of celebrations.
Dick Spring! We have waited a long time for this victory, and the important thing is that this victory is going to be the foundation stone of the future of this country.
Labour is the 3rd largest party. To make up the Rainbow Coalition, it would join the 2nd largest, Fine Gael, and the Progressive Democrats. But Mr Spring's demand to be made Prime Minister will hinder negotiations. Tonight, Albert Reynolds said he'd stand by while the talking goes on.
At this stage, the political reality is it's for others to look to form a government. The view of Fianna Fáil, which represents 40% of the electorate, is that it is a matter for all political leaders to look to form a government as soon as possible.
It was a disastrous result for Fianna Fáil, the worst losses since 1927. Party strategists are now preparing to go into opposition and rebuild. While the other parties start the bargaining, Albert Reynolds will continue to head the government. But it's looking increasingly likely that the man who ousted Charles Haughey 8 months ago will become the shortest-serving Irish Prime Minister in the history of the state. Andrew Simmons, ITN in Dublin.
A report published today in the medical journal The Lancet claims the National Health Service is spending £10 million a year needlessly on ear operations for children. Every year, the NHS carries out 66,000 operations on glue ear.
Glue ear is the most common cause for surgery in young children in this country today. It's usually caused by the tubes between the back of the child's nose and the middle ear becoming blocked. That leads to a sticky fluid building up behind the eardrum, causing earache and even deafness. It can be cured by a relatively simple operation, which drains the fluid and then uses a tiny tube to ventilate the middle ear and prevent any further build-up. The NHS spends £30 million a year on such operations. Yet a report in the medical journal The Lancet today claims many of these operations are unnecessary.
Well, there's about 66,000 operations each year. It's hard to say exactly how many would be unnecessary, but we found from some studies that about a third of children who were being operated on, when they looked inside the ear, it was perfectly clear and they'd got better while they were waiting.
The problem, of course, is to know how long to wait, because a portion of these children will continue to get better if you wait even longer. But during that period, the rest of them, the majority, would continue to have symptoms. They may have a problem with their hearing, they may have a problem with their speech development, and they may have ear infections.
But with glue ear affecting 1 in 10 children at some stage, something the experts do all agree on is the need for a nationwide research programme into how it should be treated.
Now with today's sport, here's Graham Miller.
Norwich City extended their lead at the top of the English Premier Division, winning a 5-goal thriller at Villa Park to maintain their unexpected course for the title. Dave Phillips got the first as the Canaries built up a 2-goal lead. Villa fought back with Ray Houghton among their scorers, but the home side couldn't save their 10-match unbeaten run and Norwich go 5 points clear. Arsenal lost for the second week running at home to Manchester United. Mark Hughes grabbing the game's only goal as United move up to 5th place. Alan Shearer's 17th goal of the season ended his 7-match drought and pushed Rovers second again, but he was then forced off with an ankle injury. In the First Division, Newcastle increased their lead at the top, beating Cambridge. There were wins too for fast-improving Tranmere and free-scoring West Ham.
Newcastle edged closer to the Premier League this afternoon thanks to a hat-trick from David Kelly, his first midway through the first half. Kelly hasn't scored for 7 games. Last time out he was sent off. Today it was also different. Kelly's third came from the penalty spot, 4 minutes from time. Gavin Peacock added a 4th to send Newcastle 12 points clear. Tranmere took advantage of Derby's appalling home record to go second, John Aldridge eventually finding the net. Aldridge scored again to make it 2-1 and condemned Derby to their 6th home defeat in 8 games. And third tonight, West Ham. Clive Allen scoring twice in the 3-1 win over Birmingham.
In Scotland, Rangers comfortably brushed aside Partick 3-0 to stay 5 points clear of Aberdeen. Duncan Shearer recorded his second hat-trick in 5 days as Aberdeen thrashed 4th-place Hearts in the big game at Pittodrie. So Celtic stay 6 points behind their Glasgow rivals in 3rd place, 2 goals from Brian O'Neill in their 2-1 victory at Hibernian. Australia crowned their first year as Rugby Union World Champions with a 30-20 win over the Barbarians at Twickenham. No tries, though, for winger David Campese in his international farewell at the ground.
One of the world's great wings, David Campese, gave an early glimpse of the sort of skills Twickenham may not see again. And in a wonderful first quarter, the Australians scored first. The English captain missing his man in the centre before Tim Horan scored under the post. The Welsh full-back Mike Rea sold a little dummy to let Ian Hunter in for the best try of the game as the Barbarians attacked with typical flair. But the more the game went on, the more the big fit Australian forwards were dominating, and fittingly they scored the winning try. The world champions deserved their 20-30 win, though for once Campese hadn't had a great game.
A shock third-round exit from the Pilkington Cup for holders Bath, who'd released 2 players for that Barbarians match. They travelled to Second Division Waterloo and lost 9 points to 8. The hopes of 2,000 people crammed into a tiny Hertfordshire ground rose when pubside Tabard scored first in their cup tie against mighty Northampton from Division 1. No fairy tale ending, though. Northampton thrashed them 50 points to 13. There was a major racing upset when a rank outsider won the big race of the day, the Hennessy Gold Cup steeplechase at Newbury. 40-1 chance Sibton Abbey on the right here took the lead at the 4th last over the 10-3 favourite Jadami. The outsider, revelling in the heavy conditions, stayed on to pull clear and win by 3/4 of a length. The fellow was third at 5-1. And Chris Eubank has just successfully defended his WBO super middleweight title against Juan Carlos Jimenez of Paraguay in Manchester. He won easily on points after outclassing his opponent through all 12 rounds. It was his 10th world title fight in 2 years.
And that's it from Graham and me. Good night.
Good night.
Are Labour betraying their commitment to Europe? I'll be interviewing Shadow Foreign Secretary Jack Cunningham this Sunday at 1:10 on ITV.
Good evening. Well, many of us had a fine, bright day today, but things are all set to change. 2 frontal systems to look at. This one down in the southwest, heading northwards. But the one that's bringing the real rain is this one out here to the west, and we'll see that in northwest England and Scotland later tomorrow. So then, to begin with for tonight, the first frontal system's giving us just some patchy rain across the south and southwest, maybe the odd heavier burst. Elsewhere, though, it's essentially dry and clear. But that rain will be working its way slowly but surely northwards across Wales and into Northern Ireland by the morning. But elsewhere, fine, clear skies. You're likely to find quite a widespread frost by tomorrow morning. So many central and eastern areas starting off fine and bright. Fair amount of early morning sunshine. But there's the cloud and rain to the west and southwest. Now, by about lunchtime, that thicker cloud and just patchy rain will be working up towards western Scotland and southern parts of England beginning to dry up. And then through the afternoon and into the evening, you'll find more persistent rain getting into western northern parts of Scotland. At the same time, central and eastern parts of England getting drier and brighter, and that'll lift the temperatures down there up to around 13 late in the day, which is 55 degrees Fahrenheit, certainly milder than today. Still fairly chilly further north, and generally looks like being a pretty windy day. So a little reminder, watch out for frost tonight and a milder day tomorrow.
In a moment, a little later than billed, Julie Walters stars in an ITV movie premiere, Personal Services.
There are times in your life when you need to be instantly in touch.
Hi, Robert, it's me. I'm sorry, love, I've missed the bus.
Cellnet's new lifetime service makes it more affordable for light users to have a mobile phone.
Oh, and be as quick as you can, would you? As quick as you can, would you? Hi. Thanks for coming out, love.
You're right.
Who's... His claws need cutting.
With Cellnet, you're always in safe hands. Ring 0800 21 4000.
When it comes to security, may we introduce man's best friend? The Sony phone.
I want to be out of this before I'm 60.
We want to be branching out and going for growth.
branching out and going for growth.
I want to be able to get a word in.
Branching out and going for growth. Branching out.
I want to be an individual. I want to be where he's sitting. I want to be able to get my hands on that car salesman.
If you want to be able to see your financial future more clearly, the earlier you talk to Prudential, the better.
I want to be young again.
Whatever you want to be planning it with Prudential.
For those of you who didn't know that a can could give you draft beer, the Worthington can. Can. Worthington with a widget. The ring pull that tastes hand-pulled.
Stay calm. Concentrate on the screen. Street Fighter 2 is on Super Nintendo. From the arcades, the ultimate combat game. Each fighter has a different technique, an acrobatic move, a hidden punch. It's on the streets now, exclusively on Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo with Street Fighter 2. It's unbeatable.
Daddy, what would happen if I didn't serve Coburns at Christmas lunch?
Can you eat a whole turkey yourself, my dear?
The special edition Micro Phoenix now starts from 5737 on the road. Call 0345 800 600 for details of this and our special finance offers.
Good evening. It'll be a rather cold night across much of the region after quite a pleasant day, but most places will begin to cloud over towards dawn and some rain is expected in most areas of London. Minimum temperature 1 Celsius, 34 Fahrenheit. The patchy rain will gradually spread to the whole of the region during the morning, and there'll be a fresh southerly wind with mid-morning temperatures reaching around 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit. The afternoon will continue rather cloudy with some outbreaks of rain in places, but there is the chance of 1 or 2 brighter intervals too. Maximum temperature 12 Celsius. And the outlook for Monday, cloudy with some outbreaks of rain, but brighter weather should reach at least the west of the area during the afternoon. That's it from me for tonight, so I'll leave you with the summary. Good night.
Wake up with Dr. Hilary Jones on GMTV. ITV Sunday at 7:45. The Ruth Rendell Mysteries.
Go on. Kill me. Kill me now if you're going to. I couldn't see his face.
I think Daisy knows who it is, and she's not telling.
Wexford's Ultimate Challenge.
The girl's being terrorised.
Sunday.